So now I'm going to explain the very basic structure of Express.js page. So here I'm just going to create a file named as index.js. Actually, let me just create a backend here. So I'll just name it as my backend. Okay, my backend one. So here guys, I am going to open this into my terminal. So open integrated terminal. So you can see that this folder is now in my terminal. Okay, so first of all, again the same method to initialize Express.js backend. It's same as Node.js backend. First of all, you need to write npm init. Make sure everything is installed, Node.js is installed, because you would be writing your Express.js on top of Node.js directory or files. Okay, so here you can see that we have the package name. So I would just hit enter every time and then my task would be done. So you can see I have set up a very basic package.json. Automatically it would set up once you complete this. Then guys, here I'm going to create a file named as index.js, which would be my main file. Since in package.json my main is named as index.js, that's why I have to create a file named as index.js. Okay, so now here I'm going to say that first of all we'll create a very basic API. So for that we need to install Express.js. Okay, so I would simply type npm I for install Express. That's it. So if you install this, then it would take a few seconds, then it would be installed. Now to import this, so I would simply type const express equals require Express. So that's how you actually import things, same as normal Node.js. Okay, you're just importing things. You are importing Express inside Node.js. And one more thing, you can see the dependencies. Now Express is available. That means we are perfect. So now, first of all, we have to create an instance of Express. So for that, we would simply create a variable named as app, and I would just provide an instance of Express. That's it. That's it. That's what you have to do here. Now I'll create a very basic get API. So in Node.js, it's a pretty much complicated task, but here you just need to create a function which is similar to an arrow function. Okay, and here I'm just saying when someone just loads the home page of my backend, that means someone just types localhost 8000, then they would directly get what? A response. Okay, so they would directly get a response. So here I can simply say res.json, and I would just send this message or anything you want. Or you can actually give a different data. You can just say data equals, and here you can just give some extra data. Okay, so it's very easy. It's very easy. You're just sending a message and you're also sending an object. You can send different kind of values. Okay, so this is a get request. And now one more thing, you have to listen this. So let me just define a port here. So I would just say const port equals 8000. Okay, so I've defined my port here. Now I would simply type app.listen and then the port. And guys, here I would simply say server listening on this port. Okay, so now let's try to run this. So for that I would simply type nodemon. Make sure nodemon is installed. If you haven't watched my previous videos, please watch that so that you know what is nodemon. Okay, so now if I type this, so you can see it has been started, right? So now if I want to check this, so one thing is you can just visit your browser. So let me just go to my browser and I would simply type localhost 8000. So you can see that I am actually getting a JSON format which actually looks like this. Okay, so if you aren't able to see this, because like you might be seeing a format something like this, this is actually because by default you are not using an extension. So I'm actually using a Chrome extension. What you have to do is simply search for Chrome extensions. Okay, just search for this Chrome Web Store, and here you have to search for an extension JSON. Okay, JSON. So if you search for JSON, you can actually search JSON formatter for better results, and you can install this top one. So you can see, yeah, this is the one which I have already installed, and that's what I am using. Okay, so once you install this and you reload your page, this page, once you reload this, so you can see automatically this is the past format and this is the raw format. Raw format is in string, past format is the normal JSON format. Okay, so that's how you can actually use the extension, and you can see that it's pretty much very great and easy to use. Okay, so now suppose if I want to create another API, so I would simply say this is the get method. Similarly, I would just say get, and someone types about, and I want to hello from about. Okay, and I would again send some response. So let's say other name is Billy. Okay, so now let's see how it works. So suppose someone fetches another API named as about, so you can actually see hello from about and this. Okay, so it's very easy to use, and that's how you can set up a very basic Express.js backend. Okay, so let me just explain this at once. So first of all, we are importing and then we are creating an instance. Then I'm simply creating a get request. So for creating a get request, you just simply write app.get. Now inside this, I want to specify what is my route. Okay, what is the route name? So I'm just saying someone just types the localhost 8000, then they would get this response. Okay, so JSON format response, and automatically the status code is 200. But if you want to specify the status code, what you can do is you can simply say status, and here you just need to write the status. So suppose I want to say that the status is 201. So this would be the status, right? This would be the status. So guys, now we have set up a very basic Express.js backend which just returns some data. But this is not the end. We have to learn a lot things now. So now let's create a CRUD operation in Express.js. How we can do that? So for that we can simply first of all just select this part, and I'm just going to save this somewhere. Okay, so I'll just again say basic express.js. Okay, so if I just paste it here and I'll close it. Now here I'm going to create a fresh code which is about the CRUD operations. Okay, which is about the CRUD operations. So you can assume that this is my backend. So what I'll do is I'll just open the express.js directory, and here I'm just going to create everything. Okay, I'm just going to create everything. So you can see this is a very basic backend, right? And here previous code was written. I just removed that, and Express.js is already installed. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just create a directory here named as routes. Here guys, I'm just going to create a file named as user routes.js. Okay, and here I'm just going to create some user routes which would allow me to learn Express.js properly. Okay, so for that, first of all guys, here we have normal index.js file, right? So inside index.js, what I'm gonna do is I'll again specify Express.js. Okay, then I also want to define the user routes, so I would just say const user routes equals routes. Inside this we have user routes, right? So right now I haven't written anything inside user routes file. That's why I'm not uh, I'm actually getting an issue here. So I'll fix that, but right now you can see this is it. Now what else? You can see that, yeah, I have defined app as instance, then I've also defined the port. Okay, so actually you must write port with capital so that it's easy, because this is a variable. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so now this is it. Now what else? One more important thing is you must always use body parser, because when you receive some data in Express.js, send or receive data in Express.js, you know that data is mostly in JSON format. So for conversions, you actually need to use a package named as body parser. Okay, so I would just install that. So again, I would just open my terminal here, and I'm going to just type npm I body parser. Okay, so body parser is again used to just convert JSON formats, identify and convert JSON formats. Okay, so very important. And now I'm just going to import it. So I'll just type const body parser, and you just need to import it like this, right? So I've just imported body parser, and now whenever you are getting some kind of response, you always want to check if it's a JSON, and if it's a JSON, then make conversion. So always when you want to make things run continuously, that means always this must be running always. So you would always type app.use. That means this would always run whenever there is a API call. This would always run. Okay, even if you're calling a get API, this would run. Post API, this would run. Anything. Okay, so this actually acts as a middleware. That means this would run first whenever you call any API. Then after that, something else, whatever API you have created, would run. Okay, so that's why we have defined it as app.use. Okay, so app.use is like you would be running it always. Whenever there is an API call, this would run first, then the API would run. right? So now after this, one more important thing is now I am going to tell you how to use course. Then after that, we are going to define the user routes. What was course? So course was, again, in the previous videos we have actually seen what was course, but in the Express.js it's way more easier. So let me just write here what is course. So suppose your front end is www.google.com. Your front end is available here and your backend is in URL, suppose 127.123.124 and 098, something like this, some IP address. Okay, I'm not good at this at networking, but yeah, you know that's this is somewhat of IP address. Okay, so suppose here your backend is available and here your front end is available. Now, from your backend, you can actually define what front-end URLs can have access to this backend. If I say google.com can access my backend, then that's great. But not other websites can access my backend. For example, I am using a website like Amazon. Okay. So I visit amazon.com and I can see the data of Amazon. Okay. I can see the images, I can see the products. But if I visit google.com, can I just see the data of Amazon from there? If I visit some other website like Flipkart, can I see the data of Amazon from there? Obviously no, because we can't access the backend of Amazon from other websites. Okay, only www.amazon.com or amazon.in or any other website which the backend of Amazon has allowed to access can only access the backend of Amazon, right? So that's what it means. Core simply means I would allow some set of URLs, only those front-end URLs can access my backend. Okay, so that's for the security of the backend. Okay, so if any random URL tries to access my backend, I would obviously block that person, block that URL. Okay, that's why it's important, right? So in our case, for like suppose if you are using things locally, so I would just say for now I would allow every URL to access my backend. Okay, so for first of all I have to install course. Okay, so I would simply say npm I course. That's it. And here, guys, I just need to write const course require course. Okay, just need to import course. Now again, whenever there is an API call, I want to always check the front end URL. So I would just check app.use. That means if you want to check thing which is always, that means on every API call, then you would always be writing app.use. Okay, so inside this I've defined course and brackets. That means any front end URL can access my backend. Okay, can access my backend. Okay, so right now you might be confused, then how is this secure? Right now I've allowed everyone to access my backend, but later on I'm going to show you how we can actually specify some specific URLs. Only those URLs can access my backend, but right now you can consider all of them can access my backend. Okay, any front end from anywhere, wherever I use this backend key, backend API key, I can easily access that. Okay, so we'll see that later on, but right now you can just say that yeah, it's universal. Now anyone can access my backend, it's open for all. Now guys, first of all, whenever you create a backend, at least there must be one API which tells the backend is running properly. So I would just say when someone just loads the backend URL, they would get this response. And as a response, I would simply say, I would actually say res.json. And here you can just give a message like your backend is running properly or welcome to our application, like that. Okay, so first of all, let's try to access that, but let me just comment this out. Okay, now let's try to access this first of all, then we would complete the remaining APIs. So here guys, if I just reload, I think the server has stopped, so I would need to type nodemon, then it would work. You can see that welcome to our application is here. That means the home page is working properly.